You would have loved that as well and ordered a nice big juicy hamburger. But this two-quarterback system, does this whet your appetite at all? What do you think when you hear that about Pittsburgh?
Yeah, no, not at all, Hannah. I'm not in favor of the two-quarterback system. Now, we haven't seen it much in the National Football League. I saw it in college football with Steve Spurrier, shuffling quarterbacks in and out. It didn't work well then. I just think that position is one of leadership and one of being able to command the huddle, and having a guy go in and out, I don't think it's going to work. Now, if you're going to create a small package for, say, Justin Fields, if Russell Wilson wins the job, and maybe on third down, maybe in running situations, you want to bring Justin Fields in, okay, I could buy that. But if we're talking about a true two-quarterback system where we're rotating guys in and out every 5 or 6 plays or every other series, I just don't think that can work in the National Football League.
I agree, Boog. I agree 100%. And I don't think they're going to need a two-quarterback system. The only two-quarterback system that they're going to have here is Russell's going to probably start the season, and then what's going to wind up happening is Justin Fields is going to take over probably halfway through the season, because this offense is tailor-made for exactly what he needs, I believe, to take his game to another level. I think you will see Arthur Smith, the new offensive coordinator, get back to being the Arthur Smith of old. He'll be the Arthur Smith who took a guy like Ryan Tannehill, who they put into the lineup down in Tennessee, and took Marcus Mariota out of there. And next thing you know, Ryan Tannehill is a top 5 thrower in the NFL. Why? Because they run the football, they change the launch points, they use play action pass, they use the dynamic running ability of the quarterback to their advantage, but it's just one quarterback. And the best runner on the field for Pittsburgh will be Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is going to take his game to another level anyway. So for me, yeah, it's going to be two quarterbacks. Is this not going to be a two-quarterback system like we're talking about?
Here's the thing I'm going to push back on. What have you seen from Justin Fields to make you think that Justin Fields can come into Pittsburgh and do that? Because I haven't seen that, Louis. We saw flashes of Justin running the football when he was like top 10 in the league in rushing, but that position is about throwing the football and distributing the football. What have you seen from him to make you think he can do that in Pittsburgh? Because I haven't seen that.
I've seen enough flashes to believe. Now, look, I understand. I'm one of those people who says all the time, flash players get coaches fired, because you keep thinking you can get it over and over again, and you can't. I've seen enough from him to believe this. I believe that Arthur Smith, look, I like Luke Getsy, okay? I like him. Luke Getsy is not Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith will take care of him. The run game combined with the play-action pass game will take Justin's game to a much more consistent another level. And when you combine that with his running ability, which will just be a supplementary part of the offense, look, this offense is going to be legit, because they're going to have one of the best offensive lines in football too. Let's not forget that.
Okay, let's talk about this, because this is really interesting to me, because I want to look at this from a few different angles right now. Because here's the thing. Let's say everything that he's saying is accurate about Justin Fields just being tailor-made to Justin Fields, the offense, the Steelers' offense, and Arthur Smith. Now, I believe in Arthur Smith as an OC, I do. But here's the question, though, then. If that's the reality, if that's the case, why is Justin Fields not just going to start? If he's clearly going to be elevated in terms of his style of play, his skill set, and his level of success, and the Steelers' offense is for real in the offensive line and all of these things, and we know the defense will be good. He always, their coach always has the defense humming along quite nicely. Why would you waste time with Russell Wilson then? Because you signed him for, like, what was it, $1 million or something? Or because you told him, hey, you're in pole position? Like, what? That doesn't, I don't know if that really means anything right now in pretty much any aspect of life, let alone the National Football League, aka not for long. So I'm a little confused by that. If what he's saying is so accurate, then why would Justin Fields? It's gonna take Justin Fields like 3, 4, 5 weeks of sitting on the bench to being able to handle it, to be able to like get to get his grasp on that offense. I mean, that doesn't really necessarily make sense to me then, quite honestly. So that's where it's confusing to me, because if you believe that to be true, then start Justin Fields from day one. Let everyone know in that locker room Justin Fields is the guy. Because if he's not, or no, if Russell Wilson is not the guy, well, now that locker room is going to be really upset, because then they're going to be like, well, what the heck? Put Justin in there. He's ready. Let's go. We want to win. We don't want to play these games. Now the locker room's going to get annoyed by that. The leadership's going to get annoyed by that. And then you're going to put Justin Fields in a bad situation. Let's say Justin Fields really can succeed and ball out in this system. Well, then you're going to put the Steelers and Justin Fields on his back foot. Because that means if you're going to replace him, you're going to replace Russell Wilson, that means Russell Wilson then lost a bunch of games and lost a bunch of winnable games. And now if that's the case, now you're like, okay, Justin, come on, try to get us into the playoffs. I know, I'm sorry, we lost like 3 games that we didn't need to lose, but come on, we got to make up for that. Now it's going to be like week 14, 15, 16, whatever it may be, 17, and it's going to be like, we got to get this game. Like, right then the pressure is like, you can't drop any games. There's the margin for error just gets to like the tiniest bit because you've already burned all of those errors, all those games that you could have potentially dropped, and now you don't have that. So now you're just putting all this extra pressure on the offense and defense, and of course Justin Fields now. So it doesn't make sense. Either support Justin Fields fully, unconditionally, without a doubt. You name him the starter. He is our leader. Look at him in practice. He's balling out. We told you Chicago was nonsense. Arthur Smith is here. Let's go. Look what we did last season. Made it to the playoffs. And we had a weird quarterback situation. Now look what we got here. We're gonna make some moves. We're better than the Bills. Watch. Justin Fields is going to be better than CJ Stroud. Let's go. I'm not saying that this is accurate. I'm just saying, like, this is what you could feed to your locker room if Justin Fields is truly elevated in this situation. So if that's the case, I just don't understand why you're then playing the game with Russell Wilson. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, if Arthur Smith is such a great OC, which again, I'm not disputing, why aren't you going to get great consistent play from Russell Wilson then? Russell Wilson isn't a spaz. Russell Wilson is a seasoned veteran, a Super Bowl champion. He's been around the block once or twice. So I'm confused. Like, why would you not be able to have Russ succeed in that offense as well? So that's where then I get a little confused, because why would you be able to get Justin Fields to be able to fire at all cylinders, but not Russ? Unless we're saying that Russ is truly washed, or his personality, his whatever, is just not conducive to him being able to have an OC help him out. Because maybe his ego, even though he seems very kind and humble, clearly a lot of people don't like him, and maybe his ego really is through the roof. And maybe when a coach says, listen, I want you to do this and that, and he doesn't do this and that, he just is like, nope. Like, I'm going to look at you and smile, but I'm still not going to do it. Right? Part of that was reported with Sean Payton. Sean Payton wanted him to do certain things, and just Russ wouldn't do it. But I originally interpreted that as he was incapable of doing it. At least that's the way how I thought it was. But maybe it's not. Maybe he just doesn't want to listen. Again, I have no idea. None of us really do, because we're not in the locker room. We're not on the field. And sometimes it's a lot harder to see in the broadcast that we have access to, unless you're really poring over the film, because we only get to see so much. Seriously, when you watch a football game live, like, you really only get 30% of what's actually happening, maybe, right? And if you're lucky, maybe the commentators point out specific things that you either get to see, or they show you maybe a replay. But sometimes, a lot of times, they just have to describe it. They'll say, oh, so-and-so got away with the hold there, and then we don't even get to see the replay of it. So you never really know. So it's a little bit harder. And that's why some of the more tape channels on YouTube and on TV and stuff have gotten more and more popular. I'm going to be honest, I have not pored over endless hours of tape of Russell Wilson. But I just think it's just interesting to me where, if we're going to say that this offense is going to be potent with a legitimate offensive line and a legitimate offensive coordinator, well, then why are we then going to say that Russ is not going to be able to thrive in there? And then here's the question. If we believe that Justin Fields will be able to thrive, now you have 2 quarterbacks who can thrive in the system. What the heck do you do? That does now kind of cause some problems, because you are going to have a locker room potentially divided in that regard. And there is going to be that feeling, because if both quarterbacks are doing pretty darn good, again, I'm not saying that that it has to be this smash, but if they're both just good, right? Pretty good, that adds a lot of confusion in the locker room. Because when you lose a game, you have the feeling, would the other guy have been able to do better? Right or wrong, you don't know. That's the problem. If one quarterback is clearly better than the other, then you could be like, all right, we know so-and-so would do better, or we know so-and-so, the guy on the bench, even if we had him in there, we still wouldn't have won. But when both guys are kind of similar and comparable, and you see that in practice, then you're going to have this feeling of, man, maybe Justin could have ripped off a 20-yard run for that first down. Or vice versa. Man, what kind of throw is that by Fields? Russ would have made that throw. So I think you add some confusion in the locker room, especially if you do a 2-quarterback system, because now you're potentially seeing highs and lows of both players on the field, potentially in the same game against the same defenses. And again, you trust your coaches in a lot of ways and your players, but like as an individual player, you're also trusting your own eyes. And at the end of the day, like if you're on that field, you're in that locker room, you're on the sideline, you're also judging, you're also evaluating the quarterback, the receivers, every position under the sun. So you are thinking, and all these guys want to win. They're not here for an experiment. They're not here to just play this game of, oh, who's it going to be, Russ or Justin? They're not there for that nonsense. They don't want anything to do with it. They want a quarterback who's going to show up and ball out. That's what they want. Someone who's going to work hard and put in the work just like they're doing. An offensive lineman doesn't want to block and do everything he can to not give up a sack for a quarterback that can't play. It's exhausting. You see when the O-line gives up on their quarterback because they're just like, there's no point, man. I mean, so much of it is obviously skill and work ethic and all that, but a lot of times it's also just will. Do you have it? You know, do you want it in that moment? And you need a lot of motivation in the NFL in that regard. And if you don't feel like your guy can get the job done, it's just hard. I mean, come on, we feel this way all the time in our own lives, right? If you're not truly motivated in your job, in your relationship, whatever it may be, you're just kind of going through the motions, right? Let's say you're like ending a relationship with your partner, or right, you just know that it's going to maybe end soon or it's just not good. She hits you up and wants you to come over or wants to go out for dinner, and you're just like, yeah, okay, I'll be over in a little bit. It's just different. You're not like, oh yeah, okay, great, let's do it. Or if she calls you and she has a problem, you're like, oh yeah, you got a problem? What else is new? Okay. Or if your job, right? It's just like you're not dying to stay late, go there early. But if you feel like you're part of something special, you're in a relationship with someone you love, you're in a job that you're really passionate about, then that changes everything. So you need to have clarity in the locker room. You just need to have the feeling of a chance that you can win, that you can be successful. And so I'm just not so sure with all of these games that the Steelers are potentially going to be playing. And I mean, like, I don't mean like obviously like the physical football games. I mean like locker room games, practice games. It's just like, where is that direction then leading them? Does it lead to clarity? Because that's what you need. That is absolutely what you need from my viewpoint. So, you know, I've talked about this before as well. Like, that's why I'm very anti the 2-quarterback system, and I'm not going to go into a whole rant about that. But I am questioning if the Steelers team is actually legitimate, and Arthur Smith is a legitimate OC, which I don't deny. I don't deny either of those things. It's then, well, then what are you doing with these 2 quarterbacks? Because theoretically, both of these quarterbacks should be able to thrive then. And if both of these quarterbacks can thrive, how do you get unity within the locker room? Because you're going to get guys on both sides. Unless you start a quarterback like Russ and he goes like 5-0, then you're going to have like that unity. But if he goes 2-2, then what do? And then Justin Fields goes 1-1 in his next 2 games. What do? Right? He wins a close game and loses a bad one. Right? You just have everyone go back and forth, back and forth. And when you're making those changes mid-season, as what the coach is signaling to the team, I don't really know. Maybe I made a mistake starting Russ, or maybe I made a mistake starting Justin Fields. It's just, you have the potential to get messy. So I don't get it. If you truly believe that Justin Fields has the highest potential, and he is going to be balling out, and he's showing that in practices and whatnot, preseason, however this all unfolds, well then start him from the very beginning. Hit that ground running. Let the team know he is our starter. And say Russ, I know I told you that we were going to give you this chance, but unfortunately that's not the way this unfolded Fortunately for you, you've made hundreds of millions of dollars. This is just the way it goes. Yeah. I don't know what to say. And then there you go. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think if Justin Fields is going to truly be elevated, like, why would he not just start? And do you think that he actually has a chance to really have the success that they're acting like he could be? Or do you think Russ puts the Steelers in the best position to succeed? Or do you think it doesn't matter because the Steelers are just not good enough? Either way, no matter who's their quarterback. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.